What if I told you the book of Exodus is more than just a story of liberation? It's a map of hidden symbols, messages encoded in its stories, waiting to be unraveled. These symbols don't just tell us about the past. They illuminate some of our deepest spiritual questions and provide insight into the human experience. Beneath the surface of its gripping narrative lies a treasure trove of meaning waiting to be discovered. Consider the burning bush, for instance. It's not just an extraordinary sight, it's a profound symbol of divine presence that defies the natural order, reminding us of God's ability to manifest in the most humble and unexpected ways. Or the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred vessel not just for carrying tablets, but for symbolizing the enduring promise between God and His people. These aren't just relics of ancient history, they're mirrors reflecting timeless truths about faith, purpose, and transformation. But why are these symbols so important? Because stories like Exodus were never meant to be read just as history. They were designed to teach, inspire, and challenge us through layers of meaning. Symbols act as bridges between the physical and the spiritual, the tangible and the abstract. They're like keys that unlock the deeper wisdom embedded in the text. Without understanding them, we risk seeing only the surface of the story, missing the richness of the message that's been passed down for generations. In this video, we're going to decode these symbols together. We'll explore the parting of the Red Sea, not just as a miraculous escape, but as a metaphor for personal transformation and overcoming impossible odds. We'll climb the heights of Mount Sinai, where divine revelation speaks to themes of morality and responsibility. Each symbol tells a story within the story, offering insights that remain profoundly relevant today. So whether you're here out of curiosity, faith, or a love of history, this journey will reveal the hidden treasures within one of the most impactful books of all time. By the end, you'll see Exodus in a whole new light, not just as a narrative of freedom, but as a living, breathing story of meaning, mystery, and spiritual resonance. This book will provide a framework and indicator for engaging with freedom-love conversations, giving you the tools to model your prayers after and live the life you truly desire. Are you ready to uncover the hidden symbols of the book of Exodus? Let's dive in. When we think of Moses' encounter with the burning bush, it's easy to picture an extraordinary spectacle, a bush ablaze, yet not consumed. But beyond its visual impact, this moment is laden with profound symbolism that speaks to themes of divine presence, humility, and calling. To truly appreciate its meaning, we need to go beyond the surface of the story. Let's set the stage. Moses, once a prince of Egypt, is now a shepherd in the wilderness, tending his flock near Mount Horeb, also known as the Mountain of God. His life, once filled with privilege, has been reduced to the mundane. In this moment of obscurity, he encounters something miraculous, a bush that burns with fire, yet remains unscorched. This scene marks the beginning of his transformation, but it's also a moment rich with symbols that resonate deeply within the biblical narrative. Fire as God's presence. Fire is a recurring symbol in the Bible, often representing the presence of God. In this story, the burning bush signifies God's holiness and His ability to transcend the natural order. Unlike ordinary fire, which consumes, this flame preserves, symbolizing God's eternal nature and His sustaining power. The fire is a manifestation of God's purity and purpose, drawing Moses closer but also reminding him of the reverence required in God's presence. This symbolism becomes even more evident when God instructs Moses to remove his sandals, as the ground he stands on is holy. The act of removing footwear symbolizes humility and respect, reinforcing the idea that God's presence sanctifies the ordinary. Fire, in this context, is not destructive but purifying, emphasizing God's role as both judge and redeemer. The bush as a symbol of humility. Leopard gek is a Samaricome gifted to you. How would But why a bush? The choice of an ordinary, lowly bush to host the divine flame is significant. It represents God's preference for humility and simplicity over grandeur and pride. The bush, rooted in the wilderness, is a reminder that God often works through what the world deems insignificant. This theme runs throughout the Bible, where God chooses unlikely individuals, shepherds, fishermen, tax collectors, to carry out his divine plans. For Moses, the bush is a mirror of his own life. Once a prince, now a shepherd, he is humbled and stripped of worldly significance. Yet this very humility makes him the perfect vessel for God's purpose. The burning bush, therefore, symbolizes the intersection of divine power and human frailty, a reminder that God's strength is made perfect in weakness. Divine calling, I am who I am. The encounter with the burning bush is not just a moment of awe, it's a calling. God speaks to Moses, revealing his plan to deliver the Israelites from bondage in Egypt. When Moses questions his own ability to lead, God's response is profound. I am who I am. This name, often rendered as Yahweh, emphasizes God's eternal, self-existent nature. It's a declaration that God is not bound by time, space, or human understanding. This calling is deeply personal, yet universal. Moses, hesitant and full of doubt, represents every individual who feels unworthy of their calling. God's assurance, I will be with you, is a promise that transcends Moses' inadequacies. It's a reminder that divine calling is not about the individual's ability, but about God's presence and power working through them. Connection to broader biblical themes. The burning bush is more than a standalone event. It's a thread woven into the larger tapestry of biblical themes. First, it underscores the idea of liberation. God's presence in the burning bush sets the stage for the Exodus, a journey from slavery to freedom. This liberation is not just physical, but spiritual, as the Israelites are called to a covenant relationship with God. Second, the encounter highlights the concept of divine revelation. The burning bush is a precursor to Mount Sinai, where God will reveal the Ten Commandments. Both moments involve fire and holiness, reinforcing the idea that God reveals himself in transformative, awe-inspiring ways. Finally, the burning bush speaks to the theme of transformation. Moses enters this moment as a shepherd but leaves as a prophet and leader. This pattern of transformation, humility, followed by divine empowerment, appears repeatedly in the Bible, from David's anointing as king to the apostles' commissioning in the New Testament. The Lord's promise is often recited in the New Testament. Relevance for today. The story of the burning bush continues to inspire because its symbols are timeless. The fire reminds us of God's presence in the midst of life's challenges, a constant source of light and guidance. The bush reminds us that humility is not a weakness, but a strength, a posture that allows us to be vessels for something greater. And the divine calling challenges us to listen for God's voice, even when we feel unqualified or uncertain. In a world that often values power and prestige, the burning bush is a countercultural symbol. It tells us that true greatness lies in surrendering to a purpose bigger than ourselves. Just as the bush burned without being consumed, we are called to shine brightly without being diminished, fueled by a power that transcends our limitations. This encounter between Moses and the burning bush is a story of transformation, not just for Moses, but for all who read it. It invites us to step closer to the fire, to recognize the holy ground in our own lives, and to embrace the call to serve. Through its symbols, the burning bush reminds us that God's presence is not distant, but near, not hidden, but revealed in the most unexpected places. Let's continue our journey into the symbols of the book of Exodus and see what other revelations await. The story of the parting of the Red Sea is one of the most dramatic and enduring moments in the book of Exodus. As the Israelites stood trapped between Pharaoh's army and the vast expanse of the sea, their fate seemed sealed. But in a miraculous act, Moses stretched out his hand and the waters divided, creating a path for the Israelites to cross on dry ground. Once they were safely through, the waters returned, engulfing the pursuing Egyptians. This moment not only marked the Israelites' liberation from slavery, but also solidified the Red Sea as a powerful symbol of transformation and faith. The Red Sea, a symbol of transformation. On the surface, the parting of the Red Sea is an extraordinary tale of escape, but its deeper symbolism lies in the transformation it represents. Crossing the sea wasn't just about moving from one place to another. It was about stepping into a new identity. The Israelites transitioned from a people enslaved to a state of faith. The sea acted as a threshold, a boundary between the old and the new. The walls of water on either side symbolized divine protection, a visual reminder that God's power is both immense and personal. The act of walking through the parted sea required immense trust in God, as the Israelites had to move forward, not knowing what awaited them on the other side. In this way, the Red Sea becomes a metaphor for the transformative power of faith, the courage to trust in the unseen and step into the unknown. Cultural impact and modern-day relevance. The imagery of the Red Sea parting has permeated art, literature, and culture for centuries. From classical paintings to modern film adaptations, this moment captures the imagination because it speaks to universal themes of liberation, courage, and divine intervention. In a modern context, the story resonates as a symbol of overcoming obstacles. Just like the Israelites faced an impassable sea, we often encounter challenges in life that seem insurmountable. Whether it's a personal crisis, a career setback, or a difficult decision, the Red Sea reminds us that transformation is possible, even in the face of overwhelming odds, and that faith can provide the strength to move forward. The parting of the Red Sea is more than an ancient miracle. It's a timeless reminder that, with faith, we can navigate life's most daunting challenges and emerge transformed. The story of Mount Sinai and the Ten Commandments is one of the most pivotal moments in the book of Exodus. It's here, on the summit of this awe-inspiring mountain, that Moses receives the divine laws that will shape the moral and spiritual fabric of a nation. But beyond the historical and theological significance, the event at Mount Sinai is rich with symbolism that speaks to personal responsibility, morality, and our connection with the divine. Mount Sinai is a spiritual metaphor. Mountains are often seen as places of revelation in many religious traditions. In the Bible, Mount Sinai represents the bridge between heaven and earth, a sacred space where God's presence is made manifest. Its towering height and rugged terrain symbolize the effort required to reach spiritual enlightenment. Just as Moses had to climb to the top to meet with God, this ascent mirrors the spiritual journey, an upward path filled with challenges requiring perseverance and faith. Mount Sinai's location in the wilderness is significant too. It's isolated and remote, a place where distractions are stripped away, allowing for an encounter with the divine. This mirrors the idea that true spiritual growth often requires solitude and reflection. The mountain, in essence, becomes a metaphor for transcendence, a place where human limitations meet divine majesty. The symbolism of the tablets. The tablets of stone, inscribed with the Ten Commandments, carry profound symbolic weight. First, the stone itself signifies permanence and durability. Unlike human decrees which may fade or be forgotten, God's law is enduring, etched into the fabric of existence. The use of stone reminds us that these laws are foundational, unchanging truths meant to guide humanity across generations. The act of God writing the commandments with his own finger emphasizes their divine origin. This isn't merely Moses dictating rules, it's a direct communication from the Creator, reinforcing the sacredness of the laws. The two tablets, traditionally seen as representing duties to God on one side and duties to others on the other, symbolize the balance between our vertical relationship with God and our horizontal relationships with one another. Even the breaking of the first set of tablets holds symbolic meaning. When Moses descends the mountain and sees the Israelites worshiping the golden calf, he shatters the tablets in anger. This act signifies humanity's tendency to break faith with God. But it also sets the stage for renewal and forgiveness, as God provides a second set. This cycle of brokenness and redemption gives us a strong sense of sin and redemption, that the gods can rescue men from many of the punishments and pains left on earth. Psychologically, morally, and physically, on more than one level. The Ten Commandments, a blueprint for personal responsibility. At their core, the Ten Commandments provide a framework for moral and ethical living. They are more than a set of rules, they are a call to personal responsibility. The first few commandments, focused on our relationship with God, remind us of the importance of reverence, worship, and fidelity to the divine. They challenge us to prioritize the sacred over the secular, urging us to live with purpose and gratitude. The latter commandments, which address interpersonal relationships, are equally profound. They call for honesty, respect, and justice, emphasizing that morality is not just about private piety, but about how we treat others. The commandments on honoring parents, refraining from theft, and avoiding false witness highlight the interconnectedness of community and the importance of living with integrity. The prohibition against coveting is particularly relevant today. It speaks to the dangers of materialism and envy, reminding us to find contentment in what we have rather than constantly yearning for what others possess. This commandment underscores the idea that morality isn't just about actions, but also about the attitudes and desires of the heart. Relating the symbols to modern life. The symbolism of Mount Sinai and the Ten Commandments remains deeply relevant in the modern world. In a time when moral relativism often prevails, these ancient principles provide a compass, pointing us toward what is right and just. They remind us that morality is not simply a social construct, but is rooted in something greater than ourselves. Mount Sinai, as a metaphor for spiritual growth, challenges us to seek higher ground in our own lives. Just as Moses ascended the mountain, we are called to rise above distractions, doubts, and temptations to connect with what truly matters. The journey may be arduous, but the view from the summit, a deeper relationship with God, and a clearer sense of purpose, is worth the effort. The tablets, with their dual focus on divine and human relationships, remind us of the need for balance. In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, it's easy to neglect either our spiritual lives or our responsibilities to others. The commandments challenge us to integrate both, living in a way that honors God while also promoting justice and compassion in our communities. The moral challenge of the commandments. Perhaps the most enduring lesson of the Ten Commandments is their call to accountability. They leave no room for excuses or blame shifting. Instead, they invite us to examine our own hearts and actions. This is a timeless challenge, to live with integrity, humility, and a sense of responsibility for the impact we have on the world around us. The breaking and renewal of the tablets also hold a message of hope. We are all prone to mistakes, to breaking the moral laws written on our hearts. But just as God gave the Israelites a second chance, we too are offered the opportunity to learn, grow, and begin anew. This cycle of failure and redemption is a central theme not just of Exodus, but of the human story itself. Conclusion: Mount Sinai's lasting legacy. The events at Mount Sinai and the giving of the Ten Commandments are more than ancient history. They are a blueprint for living with purpose and meaning. The mountain's towering heights remind us of the majesty of God and the transformative power of spiritual encounters. The tablets, with their timeless laws, call us to live lives of integrity, responsibility, and compassion. As we reflect on this story, we are reminded that the journey to the summit, whether literal or metaphorical, is one we all must undertake. It's a journey that challenges us, transforms us, and ultimately brings us closer to the divine. Let's carry these lessons forward, embracing the symbols of Mount Sinai and the Ten Commandments as guides for our own lives, and continue exploring the hidden meanings of the Book of Exodus. Throughout the Book of Exodus, we've uncovered layers of meaning hidden within its symbols, from the burning bush as a beacon of divine presence and humility, to the Red Sea as a symbol of faith and transformation, to Mount Sinai and the Ten Commandments, which challenge us to live with integrity and responsibility. Each symbol offers timeless lessons for our lives today. But these are just a few of the countless symbols woven into this ancient text. What other hidden meanings might still be waiting for us to uncover in the pages of Exodus and beyond? Perhaps these stories are calling us to explore, question, and reflect even more deeply. If this journey sparked your curiosity, don't forget to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more explorations into the rich symbolism of ancient texts. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.